Okay, welcome to another video. So we're going to follow on with our look of the latest Manjaro Mikah 20.1 releases. We've already done the KDE version, which I was actually quite impressed with. I was a big fan. And today we're going to do the GNOME version, which I'm probably not going to be as much of a fan because I've kind of slowly been using GNOME less and less these days. So we're in the live ISO right now. And the ISO size was slightly smaller than the KDE version at about 2.7 GB. Whereas the KDE version was around about 3 GB, and the XFCE is a similar size to this GNOME version here, which shows that the KDE version is actually the largest size in the ISO, which makes me wonder if it's going to install any faster on this GNOME version, because my mind was a little bit blown on the last video where it took 1 minute and 49 seconds to install. So we're in the live ISO right now, so let's jump into the installer, which of course is going to be using Calamares. And we've just got to load that module and then we'll be good to go. Okay, British English is the one. Europe London is also the one. Okay, so we're going to do the exact same thing. As you can see, we've got a completely clear disk, so it should be exactly the same as the KDE version. Should be a nice and fast install, and it's on the same device there, which is the Sabrent, which is actually quite a fast NVMe. So that might be helping us in how quick this is installing, but we'll see if this matches up with the KDE version. So we're going to do the exact same partition layout, a swap with Hibernate, and it's going to be literally the same. So we've got 17.1 GB swap, 300 megabytes EFI, and then the rest is all at root ext4. Okay. So as usual, we're going to be logging in automatically and using the same password as the administrator. Okay, I'm quite tempted to check out FreeOffice. I've never used it before and I've never really looked into it. I'd usually always go for Libre, but I think to change things up a bit and just to sort of satisfy my curiosity, we're going to check out FreeOffice. So let's go next. Install. Right, as soon as I press install now, I'm going to be starting my stopwatch. That way we can see exactly how long this version takes to install. So start. Okay, I'll be back in just a moment once this is finished, and then we'll be booting into our freshly installed GNOME desktop. Okay, we are fully installed, and this just beats the KDE version. So the KDE version came in at 1 minute and 49 seconds, which is very impressive, but this one done it in 1 minute and 44 seconds. So perhaps that additional sort of 300 or so MB has slowed the KDE version down, but still, both very quick installs. So what we're going to do now is reboot and check things out. Okay, so here we are at our desktop. You might be noticing that the colours are very warm. That's because night light is currently enabled, because it's actually 2 AM and I'm up checking out Linux distributions apparently. So we're going to turn that off and get the colour to normal. Okay, perfect. Right, we're going to very briefly go through the release info just to see what exactly is new in this GNOME version, and then we'll just have a general look around and see how we do. So, our GNOME edition, based on 3.36 series, we include visual refreshes for a number of applications and interfaces, particularly noteworthy being the login and unlock features. GNOME Shell extensions are now managed using a new extensions app which handles the updating, configuring and removing or disabling extensions. A Do Not Disturb button was added to the notification popover. When enabled, notifications are hidden until the button is toggled off. By default, our own dynamic wallpaper changes its colour theme throughout the day. That's pretty cool. So I guess this is the sort of night kind of one. Additionally, we've updated GDM and improved our GNOME layout switcher a lot. I forgot that the GNOME Magician has a layout switcher, so we can check all of that out, and I do believe they include a Unity version, so that would be cool. We updated our list of pre-installed packages, and ZSH is the new default shell. Applications are now stored in folders in a clean app drawer. Okay, cool. Right, so I think what we're going to do first of all is grab this update that I can see or waiting to be installed up here by opening up the package manager, and let's just see what we've got here. So we've got some PAMAC CLI and Common. We've also got the Flatpak plugin for PAMAC and GNOME integration, PAMAC GTK and PAMAC Snap plugin. So this shouldn't take too long. We've only got to get 810 KB. So let's click apply. type in a password, and we're going to remove that and replace it with this. Okay, and it's all from the official repo there, so this shouldn't take too long at all. But what we will do is just minimize it for the time being, and then we can go ahead with just looking around. Okay, so that is already done, so we get our little notifications there, and here's a little do not disturb toggle, so let's go and do that, and now we won't get notified of any notifications while we're having a general look through. So I'm not too sure what this is. So we seem to have a little applet here which is showing us announcements from Manjaro. Okay, is this new? I've not actually used this before. So it has a server URL here. Maximum number of articles in the menu is 15. Auto start. Show error notifications. That's quite interesting. So I guess this is just going to be showing us Manjaro specific updates from their news category there. Okay, right, what we're going to do is start off with the default applications. Oh, we've got a hot corner, guys. I could never get with the whole hot corner thing. Right, let's just jump straight into the applications. Right, so in accessories I do see we have caffeine there, so that's going to be a little extension, or is it the caffeine NG? So we have caffeine up here, so we can enable caffeine, and then we won't get any sort of automatic screensavers or sort of timeouts on the screen, etc. So we have backups, which is probably Deja Dup. I do believe that is Deja Dup. Deja Dup for backups, which is a fairly decent backup, to be fair. You can do it over like network folders, etc. with a nice little scheduling. So let's see what else in accessories. We have the extensions application. We also have the gestures as well, the application installed out of the box to get touchpad gestures. We have none enabled at the moment though, so we could add some by going for a swipe. Let's go for a swipe up with a 3 finger, and that will notify send gesture performed. It's not really saying what gesture it is though, so you'd have to sort of get the right gestures that you'd need there in order to get it what you want it to do. But we won't worry about that for the moment. But it's nice that that is included out of the box. I do find the gestures on GNOME a little bit hit and miss though the last time I checked them. But as you can see there, it's told us that we've performed a gesture because that was the command that we inputted. So you want to actually input the right command in order to get the gesture you wanted, let's say for changing a workspace or something similar. So as you can see, because we're on Do Not Disturb, we didn't also get notified of those either. Okay, let's keep moving. So is there anything else in accessories that's interesting to take a look at? So let's have a look at their dynamic wallpaper package here. Add new pictures or open an existing XML file. And we have a little clock here, and then you can start time of the wallpaper, and then the hours, days and months, even down to the second. Pretty cool. So this is a dynamic wallpaper for GNOME. Okay, right, I want to check out the extensions application because it appears that this is going to be replacing tweaks a lot, because I've got a funny feeling that although we have tweaks installed, we aren't actually going to have the extension entry in the left panel here, and I can't see it there. So all of your extensions are going to be managed in this extensions application here, and you'll notice we do have quite a lot, and I'm going to assume that's because of the desktop layout switching. So it's going to utilize a lot of things like dash to dock, dash to panel, arc menu for when it's in like a Windowsy kind of look. So we have arc menu, auto move windows, dash to dock, dash to panel, desktop icons, game mode, GS Connect, which of course is like a GNOME front for the KDE Connect to connect your Android phone and share notifications, horizontal workspaces, the K status notifier item and app indicator support, launch new instance, native window placement, night theme switcher. Is currently not actually showing up there though because it is disabled, but we do have some specific settings for here, so you can again set the schedule, the GTK theme and the shell theme and the icon theme. So pretty much everything. That's a pretty decent little package there, to be honest with you. Okay, so we also have the places and PAMAC updates indicator, screenshot window sizer, Unite, which I do believe is going to be utilised for perhaps the Unity desktop layout because it clears things up a bit in a more sort of Unity style and sort of the Windows title bar and top bar sort of thing. Windows Navigator and Workspace Indicator. Okay, let's also see, while we've got tweaks open, what the actual default theming is. So it's the Matcha Dark Sea theme, and we have a few additional themes installed, but they kind of seem to be just variations of the Matcha theming there. Icon is X Cursor Breeze, and the icons, the cursor, sorry, and the icons are Papyrus Dark Maya, and the shell is Matcha Dark Sea. And again, we have the same sort of variations that you find in the applications there. Okay, let's get out of this. And obviously by default you can see that we do have the Windows buttons in the title bar for maximize and minimize. Right, what I want to do the most is check out the layout switcher. So this has been improved according to the release notes. I remember checking this out when it first became a feature in the Manjaro GNOME. So we're currently on just the default Manjaro, which of course gives you a dash to dock on your left and a pretty standard GNOME panel at the top there with your clock in the middle as well as your notifications there. So let's try traditional, which is going to utilize the dash to panel extension and give you kind of a Windowsy sort of theme there, and it's also given us the desktop icons there as well. So as you can see, we've got a little panel there. We do still have the show applications button, which is going to put everything in the sort of full screen view where you can then search for things, etc., and then launch your applications like so. But we also have the, I think it's going to be the, yeah, we also have the arc. Is this the arc menu? We also have the arc menu. Yes. So we also have the arc menu here, which has quite an extensive amount of settings that you can go through and kind of really configure it to suit your tastes. But if I remember correctly, it's going to be a different kind of layout in the Unity section. So they've kind of gone through that trouble for you in sort of customizing the look and feel of it. So now you have your, these are just pinned applications. So of course you can just open that and it will minimize into its own icon like so. You then have your sort of system tray here with your clock that's been put to the right now, as opposed to when you've got the standard GNOME panel, it will be in the middle. Okay, so now time for my favourite little layout, which is the Unity layout. Oh, something about the Unity layout that just, it's almost perfect to me, to be honest. So we have the panel to the left now with the arc menu. Let's see what it looks like in this view. Not too bad. So you have the search menu at the top here, which again you could just search for Geary, which is your default email client. Hit enter, and then that of course will open up your email client. Let's get out of that. Oh, I didn't enable tap to click. I wonder why. Yeah, I did. I'm talking nonsense. Ignore me. So it's enabled by default. It's not actually working on that X though. Okay, I do believe we've got another window open. That's perhaps why. There we go. So you have quick links that then enable Gmail, Outlook and Yahoo, and of course you have your other email providers to manually set them. Right. So we have the top panel now, which has got more of a Unity kind of look and feel with the clock all the way to the right now. And your notifications are right there as well with your clock, as they would be. Right, let's see what pressing start does. So pressing start will still open up your activities menu, so it's not binded to the arc menu there. So we can again go into the arc menu settings, but I'm going to leave it with how they've done it. So we have some shortcuts here for software, settings, tweaks, terminal, and then pressing that will go into your standard GNOME activities overview with your workspaces to the right. Okay. Let's jump into one of the different layouts now. Before we do that, I do believe we can get to all applications by pressing this button, and it will open things up in a category view. And if you wanted to have it in the full pane, bang, so then that will show you your graphics. And again, pressing internet will then show you internet category. So by default, of course, Firefox is your internet web browser, transmission for torrents, and then you have SSH and VNC server browsers. We'll look at the applications more in a moment. I just want to get through this desktop layout switcher. Okay, so modern, by the looks of this image here, it's going to give us a dash to dock at the bottom, top panel again, but also, as you can see in this Manjaro version, your clock's going to be in the sort of standard position that GNOME desktop usually has it in, but in here it's going to move it all the way to the right. So let's apply that now. Okay, so we still have the icons on the desktop there from what it seems. So the dash to panel's now at the bottom with your show applications launcher to the left of the panel. And I think that's kind of the most of it. So pressing that, we still have the hot corner there, and then pressing that will then go through your Windows sort of settings there as well. Okay, not too bad. Let's check out the sort of GNOME one. So I think this is going to kind of be like more of a vanilla stock GNOME experience, with the sort of dash to dock disabled, so all of your sort of favorited stuff is going to be here now, and you're going to more rely on sort of keyboard driven sort of workflows when you're in this sort of mode. I quite like the default GNOME for GNOME. Again, it's not my desktop of choice, but as a stock GNOME, I kind of really like that compared to dash to panel and some other sort of layouts that people tend to use with GNOME. Okay, so last but not least, we have the Mate. I said it right for you guys as well. We have Mate, which is going to give us two panels, one at the top, one at the bottom. So we have our Windows buttons here for running applications in a sort of full length title bar. So of course pressing that will minimize and restore. And then we have a workspace switcher here. By default we've got two running right now. So it does it in an upwards and downwards motion still. Now moving to the top, we have, again just a show all applications button for that full screen application view that you get in GNOME. But then we have the sort of Mate-esque drop downs for the categories of your applications that you're going to go through there. And then we also have, again like the Mate, the places where you can jump into a specific folder. So right now we're in home/documents, and it's got all of your home folder there, as well as your computer, connected devices, and then browse network. So I do believe these are these pinned? Yeah, so these are your favourites that are going to still appear in the sort of GNOME overview and your little dock to the left as well. So that's we have a show desktop button there as well, and of course everything's now moved to your right with your notifications, clock, and your system tray there. Okay, cool. So while we're in this view, now will be a good time to check out the default applications. So we've got a frequent applications one here as well, which will then open up all of your frequent applications that you use the most for easy just for ease. Okay, so we are now in accessories. So I do believe we checked out, it doesn't want to go into it, let's go back, there we go. So we've checked out the extensions and the gestures. Of course your default files manager on GNOME is always going to tend to be Nautilus, and with the theming there we do have a bit of transparency in the left panel. Let's keep it going. So we have Manjaro user guide, GNOME weather to do, text editor is gonna be gedit, get it. There we go. Which of course is version 3.36.2. What else have we got? So I'm not going to spend too much time on the accessories there. We also have Covantum Manager, strangely. Okay. In graphics we have gthumb now, so nothing else in graphics though, just gthumb. In internet, of course, we have everything we've looked at internet. So Office, we wanted to take a look at this free Office program because I am none the wiser. So I do believe TextMaker sounds like their sort of LibreOffice Writer equivalent. Oh, and you even get to choose a fancy user interface. Would you look at that? So this is the default version, and it's kind of got a ribbon interface and a classic menus and toolbars. So it's really going for that Microsoft Office kind of look and feel. So let's test it out with this darker themed variant here. Okay, I'm not filling all of that in. Right, let's full screen this. Yeah, it's really going for that Windows look and feel, isn't it? Let's see if it's got dictionary enabled out of the box for auto-correct spelling. Nope. So where's the settings on this thing? Let's go to File, Open, Close, Options. Right, so we can change language, should be the one. Here we go. So it's got the default language correct, but it's just not got it enabled with the spell check for background spell checking here. So if we just press this button, you can change the colour. Default is red, which is probably the best to leave it on because it's kind of the universal accepted indicator of an incorrectly spelt word. And there you go, as you can see it, hello is now underlined in red. So what about, what's in layout? So let's go to home. So this is your home view. Again, it does have a definite Windows sort of look and feel there. Times New Roman is the default. Font. There we go. So I want to see what this customize button does and see what we can do with that. Okay, so it even has the minimize ribbon as well. So very similar to Microsoft Office Word, where you can sort of collapse the ribbon to hide it. And there is a shortcut on Office. It's been a while since I've had to use it. So I think it's like F1 or something. Let me try. No, so that doesn't do that on here. That's just opened up our manual for TextMaker. I don't know what the keyboard shortcut for that is on here, to be fair. But again, you can get it there, and you can also change the user interface in this as well, so you can go to the classic look, so you can always summon this back up. Okay, I'd have to spend some more time with this to really say whether it's a viable replacement for LibreOffice Writer. To be honest, I'd stick with what I know, which is LibreOffice Writer. But it's nice to check things out that we haven't used before. So that was Office. Now in programming we have Glade and Icon Browser. Sound and video we have Cheese, which is the webcam viewer. Lollipop, I actually really like Lollipop. I don't get to use it as much because I use KDE on most of my machines now, and it's kind of made with sort of GNOME in mind, Lollipop, and it does sort of fit really well with the whole theme of GNOME. But it is a pretty decent and simple to use music player. I like it quite a bit. You can go into web as well, and I do believe it had Spotify integration. I don't know if it still does. Let's go into preferences and go into web. There we go. Yeah, so it does have Last.fm, and it has Libre.fm, Spotify, and all of the good stuff. It's a very decent music player. Okay, cool. Oh, we didn't want to do it in this view, did we? Okay, back into applications. So that was sound and video. You've also got videos, which is probably like Totem on GNOME MPV. And then you have the V4LT test utility and capture utility. So in system tools, you have Ranger out of the box, which is your terminal-based files manager. We have no keyboard shortcut for GNOME terminal though. So let's jump into the settings and quickly enable that. So we want to go to keyboard shortcuts, and while we're here I'm going to change and disable the natural scrolling as well. GNOME terminal. I'm just going to copy that straight over. Control-Alt-T. Done. Oh yeah, we're going to change the touchpad as well, aren't we? So let's change the touchpad to disable natural scrolling. That's better. And while we're in here, let's just take a look at the settings and see what's going on with GNOME these days. So you have the applications there, when you can go, system features used by this application. So you can go through all of your applications now and set individual settings. I do like that that's included in the GNOME settings now. I do believe when I was setting up the screen, I also saw the night light built into the monitor settings, which is pretty cool. So obviously we've got this disabled at the moment, but it is set on a sort of sunset to sunrise kind of deal. So if we enable it, it will now appear in our sort of system tray up here with a little moon. There we go. Let's just disable that again. Right, what I want to do is test out hibernation on here, make sure that's all working correct. So let's go into the, do we have it in the actual menu? Let's go to power off and see if we've got hibernate there. Can't see it there. We might have to install an extension to get hibernate to actually appear here. There is an extension for it though. Okay, we won't do that right now though. So what we're going to do is open all of this up in full sort of view, and then we're going to summon the hibernate with the command, and as long as everything is on this screen when we start back up, it appears that hibernate is working as it should. So systemctl hibernate. Oh, it's got user session inhibited, please retry operation after closing. No, I'll tell you what, we're just going to chuck the I there and see if that does the good stuff. There we go. Right, I'm going to pause the video here while it's powering down into that low powered state, and then we'll come back and hopefully everything works as it should. Okay, so we've got to the lock screen. It's quite a nice lock screen. I like the way GNOME actually looks in your lock screen now, to be fair. Right, let's type in our password. Perfect. Yep, I've had no issues with Hibernate with Manjaro, so we've done it with the KG version now, and I don't see why it wouldn't also work in the XFCE version, which I will check out in the next couple of days once I've got the time. I've already downloaded the ISO, so it's definitely coming. Okay, so what we're going to do now then, just to wrap things up, is change... Oh, someone asked me to test out the Bluetooth in the last KDE video. So let's just give it a go. So Bluetooth is on. Let's see if we can search for a device. There you go, it's found an S9 there. So let's see if we can connect to that fairly straightforward. Type in my Bluetooth pin. Yes. Confirm. Okay, we're connected. And then we've got a little... There we go, Galaxy S9. Connect to internet. You can get into the Bluetooth settings there. And then of course it tells you that you have one device connected. Let's also try it with a mouse. So we have one of these Microsoft They call it a designer mouse. I don't know why. It's a terrible mouse. There we go, pairing request, and let's apply that now. Touchpad's working. We're not getting any actual mouse movement with this cursor though. I'm just going to chalk it up to this mouse being rubbish though, to be honest. Right, now what we're going to do is do a reboot, check out the RAM at boot, and then we're just going to wrap it up there. I'm going to try and remember what the RAM was on the KDE version. I think it was around 630 megabytes maybe. So we're going to test it out on GNOME, but what we are going to do before we do that is go into the default Manjaro layout. So let's just reopen this and go into Manjaro. Click apply, and then we're going to reboot. Do we have htop installed out of the box? No, so let's quickly install htop. Let's see what it's saying right now. Okay, so we're using 1.13 GB out of 15.5 at the moment. CPU utilization is nice and low as it should be. So what we're going to do is do a reboot, check out the RAM, and then wrap it up there. Okay, let's open up the terminal, type in the old htop. Okay, so 753 megabytes at boot so far, so it appears to be using a little bit more than what the KDE version is. I'm not surprised about that though, to be honest with you. I kind of had a feeling it would. But saying that, although I'm more of a KDE user these days, I do not hate GNOME as some people might. I just don't tend to use it as much as I used to. But they have done a fairly decent job there implementing GNOME, and I like the fact that we have the desktop layout switcher with that Unity sort of layout to kind of just make things a lot nicer for people that do want to change the way GNOME behaves without having to download a load of additional sort of extensions and packages. It's got it all there for you. That's been Manjaro GNOME 20.1 Mikah. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and also join the Discord. There'll be a link in the description. See you on the next one. Bye bye.